Alright, so then a year later, part 2 was released, and again, they really weren't sure where to go with this. They didn't bring back Tom Savini because Tom Savini was like, Jason's not real. No, I'm not doing a movie about a dead kid. So he left. So they had a different guy doing the songs, and I believe Warrington Gillette played Jason.
Yes.
There's also another guy, but I don't remember the name. There were two of them. And, trying to think. Amy Steele played Ginny. John Fury played Paul. Everybody else is not worth mentioning.
No.
So Alice is back at the beginning of this one. It starts off with this girl jumping down the street singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider.
I thought it was a little boy. Is that a girl?
It's a girl. And then she goes in the house because her mom calls her in, and then Jason steps off the
right beside her, like a second later.
Yeah, right away. Right away. 5 minutes or 5 seconds into this fucking movie, there's a problem. He's going after Alice. Now, it mentions that Alice is in California.
When does it mention that?
She's on the phone with her mom talking. He's like, I'm in California, blah, 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 blah.
I didn't catch that.
She's in California. Jason came from, we assume, New Jersey, but at the very least, the East Coast. How the fuck did he get to California? How did he find her house? He's a fucking hobo. Like, he lives in the woods. So this is a complaint everybody has about it, but where the fuck did he get there? And why did that little girl go, there's a man with a sack on his head, and go in the house? Like, nothing. So there's not a whole lot of build up to this. Alice is talking, she's having nightmares about the end of part 1, because, you know, she saw it in third person, of course. And she takes a shower, she gets a call from her mom, she goes downstairs, the poor actress who played this lady got stalked after part 1, that's why she decided to be killed off in part 2. Somebody actually came to her house, held a gun to her head and all this shit. Terrible. So she's like, just kill me, I don't want to do this anymore. So she goes downstairs, somebody throws a cat through the kitchen window, which is ridiculous.
What?
Yeah, there's a cat, the cat supposedly jumps through the window, but hell, they're just throwing it through the window.
Wait, I think, was that before or after the missed phone call?
After. There's a phone call that's missed.
Yeah, and then she
Jason
thinks it's her mom.
Jason doesn't have a cell phone.
She thinks it's her mom, and there's a missed phone call.
That's not scary.
And then she goes and checks everything like something's wrong. Why would you just assume that you have a missed phone call that something was wrong in your house?
She goes,
she doesn't know what's going on.
Well, she's kind of paranoid. You have to remember that.
Yeah, but she can't possibly think that the beheaded woman or the boy in the lake made a prank phone call. Just
yeah, why would you assume that?
I never understood in the 80s why people were, or even in the 70s or 80s, why people were upset when their phone rang and there was nobody there. Somebody has to be in another house doing that. They're not in your house. They can't call you from in your house. They don't have cell phones. So she opens up the fridge to get something for her tea.
And what is in the fridge?
This is Voorhees' head.
The severed head. The same one that she'd hacked off with a machete in part 1.
And then a hand grabs her and stabs her with an ice pick.
Through the temple.
Yeah. Through the temple.
And Jason takes it. We don't have to have a reveal. It's Jason. Jason takes the tea off the cat or off the stove.
Yeah, nicely for her.
Because it's fucking annoying how much noise making.
He's just like, well, this is.
And then Friday the 13th 2 crashes through some glass again. And we move on to the opening scene, which is 2 people on a truck in Crystal Lake getting harassed by Crazy Ralph. You've seen this before.
My favorite part of that is it's a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're making a phone call to their buddy who's already in town, right? And she's looking at the truck being towed, looks away, looks back 8 different times before she says,
"Where's that truck going?"
He's going with the truck. Like, finally, she sees him hitching the tow to it and doesn't say anything until the truck's actually
goes to the bar, gets drunk, and lives. But he's pranking them. He paid some guy to fake tow their truck. Normally the prankster dies in the movie, but he lived.
Yeah.
So they make their way to a training center that's like for counselors. Can make sense. A training center for counselors 5 miles from where Camp Crystal Lake was.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we can't let people in there. Let's just move them slightly down the road.
A couple miles, that's all.
Yeah. So they go there, they find a log in the middle of the road, I guess like an omen, I don't know. Or it's just a waste space movie.
Yeah. Somebody put that there.
Oh, somebody threw that log out here. So they move it, and then they go to the place, and there's Paul who runs the place. And they're having like a little meeting where they talk about how bears can menstruation.
I was gonna ask about that. Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Girls keep it clean during your menstrual cycles.
Then Ginny shows up late, and yeah, they have a fight about nothing.
Are they dating?
They're dating, yeah.
But they haven't seen each other in a summer or a week? It's hard to tell.
It's a hard one to talk about. This movie is really difficult to talk about, like the plot. It just goes and goes and goes, and nothing happens. And
well, I think this
movie. No
movie,
interesting plot points, no important plot points.
This one is just purely a body count. I mean, there's really nothing. There's no twists. There's no surprises.
Nothing.
This is just.
It's a blank movie. It's a real blank movie.
There's also a scene where a guy shoots a girl
in the
ass with he hits the right side of her ass cheek.
Something about that.
And then she grabs the left side of her ass like immediately as it hits her. Like there's no reaction time. She's like already there in her ass cheek, and it's the wrong ass cheek.
Maybe in the script it said right
butt cheek
or left
butt cheek.
We had a chance to say it.
Butt cheek.
Okay, I'm trying to think of when the first kill. Oh, Crazy Ralph is the first kill. Crazy Ralph has wandered into the camp to watch everybody and be a pervert because Ginny and Paul start to have sex, and he's looking at him from behind the tree. And all of a sudden, he gets choked out with some barbed wire. This barbed wire reaches over Ralph's head from behind a tree. How the fuck did he do that?
Well, the barbed wire is separated.
No, he doesn't like throw it around.
No, I mean the barbed wire parted and then came back together on the other side of the
Oh,
tree.
it's magic barbed wire.
Magic barbed wire.
Remember who we're
Alright.
dealing with here. We're
Yeah,
talking
Jason
about.
he defies the laws of physics.
Well, he does.
I guess he must. He fucking does all kinds of crazy shit.
Before Paul and Ginny get down to business, she's like, Paul, there's something I gotta tell you. And he just starts making out with her. What if she was like, I have STDs? He doesn't know, but he just is horny.
We never find out what the hell.
No, I don't know why
Yeah.
they said that in there, but you never find out what she was gonna tell Paul.
And I think at that point they were both just like,
too.
fuck it.
In this scene, we meet a bunch of counselors, and the most important one being wheelchair guy, who is getting hit on because he wrecked a motorcycle, I think.
Yeah, wheelchair
Yeah.
guy. He comes in later to my favorite scene.
Yeah, we'll get there. But we get in there soon. Next day, after Ralph dies, and Jason drags the body off, go put it in a cabinet somewhere or something.
Maybe hangs it
yeah,
from a tree
yeah.
or stuffs it neatly into
They're
somebody's
all-
suitcase
They're
so they
all
open it.
swimming, and two of them decide, names I don't remember, two of them decide to go see Camp Blood, which is what Camp Crystal Lake is now named. So they take this hike, go find it. They find a dead dog, which we think is Muffin, and they see the dead dog and it immediately cuts to hot dogs, I think.
Yeah, right after
it's
that,
really
yeah.
Good. But they get caught by the sheriff, and he brings them back and says, I told you, nobody's allowed over there. And Paul's like, no resort for you guys. And the cop's like, oh, you should hang him for this.
Aren't you gonna reprimand them for that shit?
What
He's
kind
like,
of operation are you running here?
it's like, well, I'm not really running an operation.
I'd be like, well, you're the second sheriff that's been here in a year. My guess is you're going to be fired, so I'm not listening to you. So he's driving back, and he sees this guy with a sack on his head run across the road, assumes one of the kids starts chasing him.
Big
He
mistake.
chases him through the woods to this shanty.
I have two things to say about that.
All right.
Jason is in a sprint
Full
in this
on
movie,
sprint, yeah.
and his jeans are surprisingly very nice for being a hermit in the woods. His jeans are always
I
nice
think
in
he
this
has
movie.
laundry service or something. He did go to California.
And
He's
it's
got some
true.
hookups.
And I think, and once again, I think in this movie, they still have no fucking idea where they're
They
going
don't
with
know
this.
what the fuck's going on.
So-
It's Steve Miner, by the way, and he directed the remake of Day of the Dead, the most infamously bad piece of shit movie that we're never gonna touch. Trust me, we're never touching that movie. But he also directed Halloween H2O. So, but this was a bad one. This one, and it got worse for even though Lambert loved it.
I
Oh,
love
sorry.
it.
All right, so the cop follows Jason to his shanty, and he's dicking around in there, and he opens up the one door, and he's like, "Oh my god!" He must have found the head. That's my guess. He's a head on that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Jason hits him in the back of the head with a hammer.
Clawed hammer.
Clawed hammer.
Lord hammer.
Right in the dome piece.
Yeah. So
The sheriff had a gun the whole time, and he never even
Never drew
Wouldn't
it.
you
I
have it out.
If you're
Just
going
for
into
some
somebody's
protection?
house, yeah.
that's why
probably.
these sheriffs don't fucking last longer than a year.
They're
These
the dumbest
fucking
sheriffs
clowns.
around, that's for sure.
You never, cops in these movies,
They're gone the next movie.
they don't do too well
So
because
yeah, they die most
they're
of
not,
the
I
time.
don't know if they're real cops, like they had to go to the academy.
I wonder if they tell him. Last cop died about a year ago.
Well, he was killed with
You're
a...
gonna have to watch because people keep going to this camp where people die. About 10 people a year every year.
Actually, we have the highest murder rate. Or
Yeah, Newark, New Jersey.
Sure.
I don't know where we are.
I'm sure I figured that out.
But what the fuck happened?
After that, the girl, I think, decides to go for a walk.
No. They decide half of them are gonna go to the bar.
Oh, that's right.
And the people who wandered off to the camp, their punishment is they have to stay there. So the one girl hits on wheelchair guy. Fucking the one girl does go for a walk. She goes down to old skinny dips because we need boobs.
Yeah, which is a great scene, by the way. 'Cause she has pretty nice...
Someone steals her clothes from the shore.
It's that one dick.
And it's the
Really
pot-collar
creepy
douche
fucking
guy.
He's
Yeah.
fucking weird.
He's like, do you want these? And
He's
she's
like,
like,
"Come and get 'em." Ooh.
yeah, I would like them.
Yes, please.
And she kind of chases him around a little bit, but... Yeah,
he
she
gets,
does have...
He gets strapped in a booby trap of some
Yeah,
sort.
a rope
I don't
strings
know
him
what
up
the
upside
fuck it is.
down.
I don't know who put it there. He thinks Paul. I don't.
Well, I
know.
think we know who.
Jason, why? You're fucking stupid.
Wow.
If it's a Jason from
If that's
part
the most
12,
stupid
then
thing you
yeah,
can
it's
find
there,
from this
but,
movie, then...
everything bothers about this one.
Yeah.
It's just a weird one. But she wanders off to get something to cut him down with. Jason pops out and slits the rope.
With the back of the machete.
Yeah.
Back of it.
And he sees him coming and he's like, oh, who are you? What are you doing with that knife? Oh. He doesn't even fucking move.
I
Yeah,
noticed in
don't
this
care.
movie, the knives were always backwards held by Jason. Even there's a later
He's
scene with a
new. He
butcher
doesn't know what
knife.
he's doing yet.
He's
I wonder
holding it
if that's
upside
because the budget actually was that low.
The budget is-
I wondered if they had to use real machetes and
no,
turn them around.
The effects were not good in this
But
one.
yeah, it's like he slit his
It's like,
throat
well,
with
this
the
is what
back
we
of
have.
it. That's not gonna work,
He did
guy.
do that. He did.
So then they cut to the girl's looking around. She comes back, finds the body, screams, and is killed off camera. No idea what the fuck happened to her. She's killed by the POV camera.
Wheelchair guy's about to get it in.
That happens in a minute.
Okay.
First, we go to the bar, and we have another exposition where Ginny is...
Explain exposition scene to me and anybody else that may
Exposition-
not know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
what I'm about to tell you about expositions is an exposition. It's an explanation of what's going on in a lot of words. It's like a story of what's going on.
It's like those really bad movies where it's like...
It's also like a monologue almost.
So
but an
exposition... it's like, oh yes, but my father died in 83.
Yeah, an exposition explains plot details without actually showing or doing anything.
So it's just trying to fill in. Yeah.
So Ginny goes on and on about how she thinks Jason's real. He's living in the woods, trying to bring his mom back to life, I think.
Reincarnate or something. Yeah,
ridiculous. And she's with Paul.
Which is real. I mean, getting drunk is a pretty good way to survive
they go
any
back
situation.
to the camp, and he's like, I'm not going. And they're like, whatever. And he lives. So they start heading back.
Moral of that story is...
Drink.
Do what we're doing now.
Yeah. So they head back to the camp, Paul and Ginny, and while they're heading back, wheelchair guy, he's on the front porch waiting for the other girl to put on off sexy brown or black panties.
Yeah, she puts on brown panties. And then she sprays perfume on her crotch like something's going on down there.
The thing I love about the scene where wheelchair guy died, or I don't love it, but it's funny to me, is the view of the killer approaches from behind, but the machete sinks into the front of his face.
And it's backwards in his head again. Another backwards machete.
So, like, apparently, I'm not really sure what's going on with that.
I have no idea. It's cut terribly.
It's just like...
it shows from behind, so, like, he couldn't have jumped out from in front of him. There's no place for him to jump out from. It just hits him in the head, and he rolls backwards. It hits him in the head, and then he
spins around a little bit.
What the fuck happened?
He does like a 180 spin and goes down the stairs, but it's hilarious.
It is pretty awesome.
It's hilarious.
Watching him tumble backwards.
The noise it makes when it hits his head is nice.
He goes, oh!
Right into his face. So I mean, like, Jason comes up behind him, but really he's in front of him.
Yeah, we don't know how he dies. He comes up behind him, hits him from front with a backwards
machete.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of things going on.
Then it cuts to in the house. The two people are having sex, whose names I don't know. They're in there having sex, and he goes upstairs with a spear and double impales him, which was much cooler in the uncut version, but you just don't get that here. So they're dead, and then the girl with the brown panties comes in, and Jason pops out from underneath the sheet and stabs her. And also, before he stabbed her, here's what he did, because he's just this kind of guy. He took the dude that he double impaled, took the two bodies apart, took the male, and hung him to the back of the door. Then got underneath the covers and hid. So... yeah, he stabs her, and then Ginny and Paul get back, and they're like, oh, the wild punch is asleep, oh! And they're yelling, and nobody's answering, and they find bloody clothes all over the place.
And Ginny is like, this isn't like them. She just met these people 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
This isn't like them at all.
And first of all, it is like them. They're a bunch of assholes. But, yeah, she's yelling to Paul, because Paul's searching around in the dark, because the electric's out. And she's like, Paul, there's somebody in the room. Paul, there's somebody in the room! And he gets in a fight with Jason, which is really pathetic. Like, Jason's like, oh, and they're just like barely, it's a bad fight. And Paul is out for the count. I don't know what happened to him in the dark there.
Nobody knows.
And this is where things get weird, because I'm not really sure what's real and what's a dream sequence because of the ending. I don't know how far this movie goes. Paul's probably dead, and then it cuts to her in the ambulance. That's my guess. But what happens between then is another chase sequence.
And during this chase sequence, I noticed she ducks behind a car, but her head is above the hood of it. So if he just happened to look that way, he would have seen her.
By the way, he looked right over at her and
didn't notice her with her head above the car.
Yeah, so she gets poked at through a window with a pitchfork. She I don't think at any point that she hits him on the head like it happened in the previous movie. But they're running around. She ducks into cabins. He follows her. She ducks into cars. She's in a perfectly working VW Bug, but because he stabs through it with a pitchfork, she decides not to drive it home. She attacks him with a chainsaw at one point. It just keeps like cutting to the moon and them running and the moon. There's even a scene where like she's running down a path and he jumps out at her and misses, which is hilarious. He's like, whoa, and he just falls. She pees herself in one cabin because she's underneath the table and Jason's above it, and a mouse shows up.
Yeah.
This guy's been trying to kill you all night long while your friends are dead. They're falling out of trees, of course. And why do you piss yourself? Because a mouse walked over you. So yeah, she pisses herself. Jason attacks her again, but he falls because clumsy and the table falls.
Why would he just be waiting on it?
Such a klutz. He's a goofball. So she runs through the woods for a while and gets to his shanty again, and gets inside and finds Mom's head, along with all the bodies of people that he didn't strap to trees, and gets this wild idea to put on...
She's a child psychologist.
He's a 30-something-year-old man.
Well, earlier in the movie...
She went on a rant about stuff that doesn't make sense.
Well,
right.
no. What's his name said, oh, yeah, you're trying to use that child psychology on... What was his name?
I don't know. Tommy Wiseau?
No.
From
Paul.
Paul, yeah. No, the child...
Why you always being a psychologist? Yeah, he's always,
I love you so much, Lisa, and you guys are my best friend.
But, she's a child psychologist, so she figures she trick him into thinking that
she's his mom.
She's dead mom.
So she kind of, like, puts on the sweater.
Yeah, and then you get a cut of Betsy Palmer in a black room reciting the lines.
Which is still scary.
Which, yeah,
She's
I
terrified.
guess is what Jason's seeing. He's so dumb he can't tell the difference. And she raises a machete up to hit him, and when she does that, he looks behind her and sees her dead mom's head and goes, "Wait a minute, no!" So he puts the pickaxe up and blocks the swing of the machete, which, by the way, cut the actor's thumb and he had to go to the hospital. That's, yeah.
So it is a real machete.
Yeah.
And the machete
That's
goes
what I thought.
flying.
Yeah, it goes
after that.
flying, and Paul comes in out of nowhere. He apparently followed them the whole time and not said anything. He's like, "Ginny, ooh!" So once again, he fights with Jason, who once again beats his ass. And they're struggling, but they're fighting with each other, and Ginny grabs the machete again and hits Jason in the shoulder.
Yeah,
And-
a nice solid cut through
Yeah,
his
his
shoulder.
one eye slowly rolls back into his head, and
His one good eye.
before they leave, she pulls the sack off his head. She's like, "Oh my God." They leave. They go back, and the dog that was obviously very clearly dead earlier in the movie is now alive again. And she reaches down to grab it, and this mongoloid version of Jason bursts through the window and grabs her.
His hair is phenomenal looking.
He
when
has
jumps
a
through there.
skullet when he walks in. It is just hideous.
And then it fades to white, and she's like getting put into an ambulance. And she's like, "Paul, where's Paul?" And the movie's over. What the fuck?
Yeah, what happened?
That's why I'm saying I think when Paul got attacked, and then Jason ran out. I think that's the end of the movie.
And she just dreamed the rest of it.
And she dreamed the rest of it. At some point, it became a dream.
It has to, right?
Because there's no way, unless she passed out when Jason grabbed her, and then Paul ran out, got knocked over the head, and died, and then they just.
Why didn't Jason kill her though?
Paul could have lived, maybe. But part 3 shows him back at the cabin leaving, going to the next place. So who fucking knows what happened? Even the writers don't fucking know what happened. This isn't a case of like a missing ending or something, or a cut ending. They literally were like, fuck it.
They're just like, well, we're just gonna get this over. We're
No,
over
we're done.
budget. Let's
And
make it
credits.
Yeah, so that's Friday the 13th too. So what did you think?
Not
Not much. You didn't have much to say.
I mean, you know, I kind of made the mistake of watching the first 4 over a period of about 2 days, which they all kind of blended together because they're all kind of the same movie. I mean, the first one stands out because it's Mom, but the rest of them are really just about the same, except for the biker course. And I don't know. If I had to give this a rating, it'd probably be like 1 out of 10. I mean, it was terrible. Just from beginning to end, it was awful.
You're gonna see worse movies. I don't know if you want.
Well, okay, you know,
Give it a
I mean,
2 or
you know,
something.
we're still new, so
Yeah.
like my rating system is just.
As of right now.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
1, okay.
this is only our third, well, I guess
This
fourth
is-
podcast,
yeah,
but I mean,
third. This is our third.
okay, it's our third. So I mean, I'm still not sure exactly how I want to rate movies, and my
This one
opinion doesn't
didn't
matter
entertain
anyway.
me,
But
yeah, fine. What'd you think, Cobra?
Being my favorite series, I gave it a 6 out of 10. You get to know Jason. He is
But that's not-
he's a mongoloid. I like the kills in it. I'm a slasher guy, and yeah, you get to meet Jason. He's the biggest iconic
what was
symbol
your favorite
of
kill?
horror.
What was your favorite kill?
Favorite kill is the wheelchair guy.
Absolutely.
Has to be the
There's
wheelchair
there's
That's
guy.
the
yeah.
highlight of the movie.
Actually, I think the wheelchair guy for me is my favorite kill
so far.
of all of them. I mean, all of the ones I've seen. I mean, that's the one. It's just like it's so comical. Like I'm sure like they're all sitting around like, yeah, this will be really great.
That's why they
This'll
put
be-
him in a wheelchair.
This will be dark.
That's
like,
the only reason.
We're gonna kill this handicapped guy, and everybody's gonna feel so sorry for him. But I just laughed my ass off.
So what's your score out of 10?
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Well, this one is kind of forgettable. Even though it does introduce Jason, it makes him look like a clumsy backwoods goofball.
It's almost like a wrong
Fucking
turn.
wearing overalls and a
Yeah.
He's skinny, he's clumsy, he falls down a lot. I think he's learning the ropes in this one, really.
Well, I mean, they're still playing like the retard child angle.
They don't know what to do with him yet. They're not sure. The movie overall as a whole has even less of a plot than the first one. The plot is that Jason is there and he's killing for revenge for what happened to his mom. But as I addressed earlier, his mom was killing because Jason was dead, but Jason wasn't dead. And now he's killing because his mom killed people, but they were killing her in self-defense. Just nonsense. I mean,
So
I think I'm gonna give it a 4. It's one of the weakest ones. You can tell it's an immediate cash grab.
so Cobra, what do you think of that?
I can't even focus.
Cobra's out of commission right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna let Cobra go.
Yeah, it's on the